Hey guys, this is Candle and welcome to a video game pickups. So this is basically where I add stuff to my collection and talk about what I've added and so on. Pretty much I have an entire year's worth of stuff to get through. So this is a massive video. It's going to run a little long, but there's a reason why. Like I said, I have an entire year's worth of stuff to get through. This is also my 1,000 subscriber special. So thanks a lot, guys, for subscribing to this channel. Even if you may have subscribed long ago and you stopped watching, I hope you do start again at some point. So anyways, let's go ahead and kick this off with a trio of titles I actually picked up at the local Salvation Army, if you can believe it or not. We're going to start off with if I can angle it right, there we go. SimCity 2000. This is the special edition for Windows 95. Sadly, this does not run anymore on current Windows operating systems because, well, actually it might run. I don't know. The installer at least doesn't work because it's a 16-bit installer, and Windows nowadays is 64-bit. It has limited support for 32-bit programs, but not at all for 16-bit, which sucks at some point. But hey, it's still SimCity 2000. I remember having a lot of fun with this game in the past, and it was only like $1. So, anyways, it's no real problem. I mean, if I really want to play this, I do have it on my GOG collection, so it's in my GOG library. Unfortunately, it's the DOS version, but whatever. Another thing I have is Heretic 2. This is a game I don't actually know too much about. I do know it's from Ravensoft, who are the people who made Singularity, and it's based on the Quake 2 engine, and it's kind of a third-person action adventure shooter type thing. I don't know. I didn't really spend too much time with this. I have with a lot of the other games in the franchise, though, but this one is a bit of a departure. And then last up from that Salvation Army pickup, I have Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone for PC. Again, all three of these games were only $1. So I remember having this a lot when I was younger and playing it a lot, and I really, really loved it. Unfortunately, I went through a phase in my early to mid-teens where I didn't really have too much money to spend on gaming, so my only real recourse to get new games was to trade in a lot of my old ones, and this was back when they would still take PC games and trade at like GameStop and whatever. But unfortunately, I don't have my original copy anymore, which had the box and the manual and everything, but I do have the game on disc, which is great, and it actually still runs. So that are those three games. Set those over here for now. Next up is a couple more games. I don't remember exactly when. Oh yeah, I know where I got these. I got these at a shop called Buybacks, which is kind of a used movies, games, and music shop. Mostly movies and games. They also sell on Amazon. It's kind of a local shop. They're kind of like a small regional chain or whatever. It used to be CD Warehouse, if you've ever heard about them. Anyways, what I have are Twisted Metal Black for PS2, which is, again, Twisted Metal. A lot of fun. I actually ended up having to watch a Let's Play in order to complete this game because it was just too difficult for me, but still a lot of fun to play. Basically, Destruction Derby. I also got the PS2 version of Okami, which is a beautiful, beautiful game. I also have the Wii version, and eventually I'll probably download the PS3 version, which is in HD. But this is a beautiful game, and the whole point of it is you play as the Japanese sun god Amaterasu, who takes the form of a wolf in the game, and basically you paint to get rid of enemies or whatever. You paint on screen with kind of a paintbrush or whatever. And it's beautiful art style, very much inspired by early Japanese watercolors and so on. And then I also have Drakengard, which is a Square Enix RPG, kind of in the vein of like Dynasty Warriors or whatever, but it also mixes in a bit of Panzer Dragoon, because the whole thing of it is you are a guy whose soul is bound to a dragon. You are basically, one of you dies, you both die or whatever. And so there's a lot of missions where you are on the ground fighting kind of Dynasty Warrior style, fighting these huge hordes of enemies. And then there's a number of missions where you're on the back of the dragon, flying around, shooting at enemies, using like dragon breath and so on, in kind of a Panzer Dragoon style. Moving on, I'm just grabbing stuff as I have them piled up here. I also got Darksiders 2, which I have not played yet. Previously, I have Let's Play Darksiders 1. I will eventually do the same with Darksiders 2. The only bad thing about this, and I didn't notice it at the time because it had it was covered up by a price tag, but I don't know if you can see it right there above the THQ logo. It says not packaged for individual sale. I have a feeling this copy originally came from a collector's edition, which unfortunately I did not get. So that kind of sucks, but whatever. What can you do? The whole point of the Darksiders series is you're playing as one of the four horsemen. In Darksiders 1, you play as War. Darksiders 2, you play as Death. I'm hoping eventually we'll get Darksiders 3 and 4, where you play as Famine and Pestilence, or is it Famine and Strife? Pestilence and Strife? I don't know. I can never remember what the other two really are. But beyond that, I got the original Spyro the Dragon. I'm not going to talk too much about this because I'm pretty sure I've already done it in my previous collection videos. You can go check them out on my channel in the collection archive playlist. But pretty much, I finally have it on disc. Previously, I had it downloaded onto my PS3 via PSN. So a lot of fun these games are. And beyond that, also, same exact thing. Had them previously downloaded. Now I finally have them on disc. I have Crash Bandicoot Warped, which is the third one, and Crash Bandicoot 1. So classic PS1 era platformers. I also picked up a Dreamcast game over the last year. Only one, unfortunately, but I did pick it up. It was Soul Fighter. I think it was only like $5. This is kind of a fighting game. I haven't actually played it at all yet. Unfortunately, I had a complete brain fart when I picked this up and was thinking it was Soul Calibur. I have no idea why. I was like, $5 for Soul Calibur? Awesome, I'll pick it up. But no, it's actually Soul Fighter. Then I also got Whiplash, which was recommended to me from kind of recommended to everybody in general from another YouTuber, SkylarStuck17. This is from Crystal Dynamics, who, believe it or not, are the people who are actually making the current run of Tomb Raider games. But the whole point of this is you play as kind of this weasel-looking guy back here, that's kind of like a weasel, and he's chained to this rabbit, and the rabbit is actually your weapon. You swing him around and everything, and he hits up at everything, and the whole point is to escape an animal testing facility while doing as much damage as you can. It's a 3D action platformer, so on the original Xbox. Picked up a number of Xbox 360 titles as well over the last year, beyond just Darksiders 2. I got Max Payne 2. One of my things this past year was I picked up Max Payne 3. I wanted to finish Max Payne 2, and once I did, I decided I had to go out and get Max Payne 3. A lot of fun, very similar in style of gameplay to Max Payne 1 and 2, but it's not as dark and gritty. A lot of it takes place in kind of a tropical setting, as you can probably gather from the logo or the cover art here. But it's still kind of a noir type story, but it's not like grim dark like Max Payne 1 and 2 were. I also got Red Dead Redemption, the Undead Nightmare expansion. I have, again, not played through this yet. I kind of have this rule where certain types of games, I only play one of them at a time. That includes open world games, RPGs, strategy games. Those are the big three. Just because they take up so much time, I can't keep switching back and forth between multiple ones all the time. So the reason why I haven't really touched this yet is because I've been playing open world games like crazy for you guys in the form of the Assassin's Creed games. But yeah, it continues off the end of Red Dead Redemption, but it's not canon because the whole point of it is John Marston comes back as basically the undead, I think, or something like that. But it's kind of like that. It has a lot of zombies and so on, including undead horses. I also got Remember Me, which is a supposedly good kind of spectacle fighter. Well, not quite a spectacle fighter, but the whole point of this is that you play as this girl, Nilin, who is in Neo Paris, basically Paris in the future. And she is a memory hunter who has lost her memory. So you got to try to find that back and get it again. I haven't actually really started that either. A lot of these games I haven't actually started yet. I've been spending so much time on other stuff. But I also got Killer is Dead, which is published by XE Games. And I believe it's from... Yeah, it says Grasshopper Manufacturer on the back, so it's a Suda51 game. This is the same guy that brought us games like No More Heroes, Shadows of the Damned, and Lollipop Chainsaw. So you know you're in for a weird, crazy, tripped-out game when Suda51 is involved. Beyond that, I got a couple 3DS games. Again, they were really cheap. There's a reason for that. I got Steel Diver, which is a 3DS launch game where you take control of a submarine and pilot it around in 3D, which sounds cool, but is actually really, really boring. And then I got Dream Trigger 3D, which is kind of a rhythm-based shooter / puzzle game that does a very, very poor job of explaining itself. And there is there a manual included? Yeah, there is a manual included, but it's like, who reads manuals anymore? seriously, in this day and age, who reads manuals anymore? Most games don't even ship with manuals anymore. But yeah, this is definitely a not recommended game. Let's see, what else do I have? Well, you guys already know I have this one, Rise of the Tomb Raider. I did a Let's Play on this, and we'll be returning to that Let's Play as soon as more DLC becomes available, which should be in the next week or so. So expect to see more videos on that. I also got Halo 5 Guardians. Now, this game was a bit of a letdown. Beautiful looking game, but a bit of a letdown. The campaign was actually fairly short, and they kept hyping it up in the trailers and so on that you're going to be on the hunt for Master Chief, and Master Chief is on the run. Well, you do play as Master Chief through half of it, and you play as Spartan Locke for the other half, whose main mission is to hunt Master Chief, but the story is just completely underwhelming, and the twist kind of comes out of nowhere at the end. Although, I mean, it was kind of predictable, but even still, it's really not a good story. So I wouldn't, unless you're a diehard Halo fan, I wouldn't say you should get that. Here's another game you guys should know already that I have. Assassin's Creed Syndicate. Now, this is actually the Gold Edition, which is basically the base game plus the Season Pass, which includes Jack the Ripper campaign. Already did a Let's Play of that, along with the main game. Last Maharaja missions, which, as far as I'm aware, are not available yet. A Long Night mission, which is one of the train missions. Already did that one. Permanent XP boost. That's again, it's included, but there's not really much of a point to it. Gold exclusive outfit. Two top-tier gear sets. Darwin and Dickens Conspiracy, which is exclusive missions for the PlayStation version. They've been doing PlayStation exclusive missions since at least Brotherhood. You also get 500 Helix credits and bonus weapons, armor, and missions. So yeah, there you go. Assassin's Creed Syndicate Gold Edition. It actually costs pretty much the exact same as buying the main game plus the Season Pass. I would say go get it at Best Buy and get the Gamer's Card along with, because the Gamer's Card at Best Buy is a really nice deal. Basically, you spend $30 for 2 years, and what it does is it gives you 20% off of all new video game software and 10% off pre-owned. So you buy 3 brand new games in 2 years, and it completely pays for itself. Another game I got this time for the PS3, Anarchy Reigns. This is, again, a fighting game. It kind of ties in loosely with Mad World on the Wii, because the main character from that pops into this. But it's, I believe, a fighting game. Again, I haven't actually played this one yet, which I know it sucks, but it happens. It really does. When you have a collection that's as large as mine and a backlog that's as large as mine, it just happens. Another game I got, Call of Duty Ghosts. Now, I'm usually a couple years behind on Call of Duty games for a reason. See, I don't really care at all about the multiplayer for these games. I do not care whatsoever about the competitive multiplayer. I only play them for the campaigns, the single-player campaigns. So I'm not really wanting to pay $60 a pop for a Call of Duty game when I'm only really getting my money's worth out of half of it. So that's why I've just gotten Ghosts. It's a decent game. It's Call of Duty. What more can I say about that? Let's see. I also got Infamous Second Son. Now, this is the limited edition, which is why the cover here is nice and shiny. Unfortunately, I bought it pre-owned, and if I remember correctly, all of the limited edition content codes, because they're never on the disc anymore, were already used up, which sucks, but hey, it's still limited edition. Still got it for cheaper than buying it brand new. Still a lot of fun. It continues off of the a few years after the end of Infamous 2. You've got a new main character here. You've got Deslin. I don't remember what his last name is, but you've got Deslin. And yeah, Infamous. If you know what those games are like, I mean, you're basically playing as a superhero in those games. This time around, since you're not playing as Cole McGrath, who has electric-based superpowers, you're playing as Deslin, who has his personal superpowers, kind of like Rogue and X-Men, where he can pretty much absorb other people's superpowers and use them. So he starts off absorbing a guy whose powers are based in smoke. Then he gets them from a girl whose powers are based in like neon, and another guy whose powers are based in pretty much digital stuff. Okay, another game you guys should know I have because I did a Let's Play of it. Gears of War Ultimate Edition. This is the definitive version of the original Gears of War. Re-geared for new generation is what it says at the back. It's like 1080p, fully remastered, completely redone. The gameplay is the same. The campaign is the same, I believe, as the PC version, which means it has the extra couple chapters that are included in that one. But the got a complete overhaul in all of the assets. Were completely redone. All the cutscenes were completely redone. It's amazing. And when I bought it brand new, it also came with download codes for Gears of War 1, 2, 3, and I believe Judgment. I think it was all 4 Gears of War games. Or maybe it wasn't. Maybe it was just missing one. But came with download codes for all 3 of those Gears of War games on the Xbox One through backwards compatibility. And apparently, it also includes beta access for the next Gears of War 4. We don't know when that beta is coming, as far as I know, at least. But yeah, a lot of fun. Speaking of a lot of fun and shooters, I got Splatoon for the Wii U. Yeah, huge amount of fun. Basically, how Nintendo pretty much posed the question of how do you take a third-person shooter, get rid of most of the violence, and cutesy it up and sell a shit ton of copies. And basically, it's by the way of you're a kid now, you're a squid now. You start off as, well, you are basically playing as these little kids with kind of hair that are like squid tentacles, and they can transform into squids, and you're running around on these maps. The whole premise of it is to paint the floors and the walls of the maps so that, well, preferably actually the floors, I think, is what counts, but pretty much paint them in your color, get rid of the opponent's color, and so on. You can splat other enemies, shoot them, take them out temporarily, but the whole point of it is to cover the floor of the map with as much of your color as possible. And it is a huge amount of fun. And I really like the fact that they kept doing free content updates for pretty much the entire year that it came out. Next up is Final Fantasy Type 0 HD. I have not actually really played this. I picked this up mostly because it also included the episode Dustgate demo for Final Fantasy 15, which I have played through and was a huge amount of fun. I can't wait for Final Fantasy 15 to actually come out finally after 10 years. 10 fucking years, Square Enix. You announced that game in 2006. It had to have been in development since at least 2005, 2004. So that game has been long awaited. So can't wait to see that. Let's see. I also picked up Twisted Metal on the PS3. This is the 2012 reboot. I have previously played through this. I haven't played through it since, but I had previously played through this with a friend doing co-op to get through the entire campaign, and it is a huge blast. Again, pretty much Destruction Derby. Huge amount of fun. Next up is another game you guys should know I already have. Assassin's Creed Rogue. I have not started my Let's Play on this yet, but it will be coming soon, just as soon as we've finished up with Kingdom Hearts 2. But yeah, this one, a lot of people kind of missed out on this one because it launched alongside of Assassin's Creed Unity, and Unity was just plagued with so many problems. But this one pretty much takes the formula of Assassin's Creed Black Flag, sets it a little bit in the future. It's kind of set between Black Flag and Assassin's Creed 3. So you're in the after effects of it's basically when Haytham Kenway is younger. If you know who that is, but you don't play as Haytham Kenway. Pretty much the whole point of this is, it says on the back, become the ultimate assassin hunter. So basically you start off as a guy who is part of the Assassin's Brotherhood, but he eventually switches sides to the Templars. So I'll be interested to see how that story plays out. Excuse me. Okay, another game I got. Metal Gear Rising: Revengeance. It's from Platinum Games and Kojima Productions, which, of course, it's Kojima because it's Metal Gear Rising, and it has a stupid title, Revengeance. It's like, what the hell does that even mean? Revenge and vengeance are essentially the same exact fucking thing. Why the hell would you mash it up together, Kojima? I don't know. But yeah, it's this, you play as Raiden. It's a spectacle fighter, kind of in the same vein of Devil May Cry or Bayonetta. I mean, it's from the same people here. It's Platinum Games. So I have not actually gotten that far into this, though, but it's supposedly a lot of fun and really good. So I'll be interested to actually finally take a look at that. Speaking of games that are not a lot of fun, I finally picked up Sonic the Hedgehog 2006. Now, the reason I got the PS3 version is because the other Sonic games from this past generation, that's what I have them on. I've got Sonic Unleashed, Sonic Generations, all for PS3, so I went ahead and picked up Sonic 06. Really not a good game. I've actually heard that it was really, really, really rushed to release, to the point where Sega just did not even QA the game at all, which when you play it makes a lot of sense because this thing is glitchy as fuck. It is so broken. Okay, I also got Batman Arkham Origins on the PS3. Again, got it on the PS3 because that's what I have Arkham Asylum and Arkham City on. This came with the Nightfall pack. I don't know. I can't remember whether or not I actually was able to download that because I got this used. Yeah, I don't even think I have a code for it. Yeah, I don't have the code for it. So, yeah, this came used, so I didn't actually get the Nightfall pack. But this is pretty much a prequel to Arkham Asylum. And it's really weird because of how it works. Because, I mean, the weird thing about prequels with video games is you want it to be a step ahead in terms of gameplay because it's coming out after the original ones. But you kind of have to contrive reasons for why that is when it's set before the other games. So it's kind of like, how does Batman have all these gadgets that he didn't have in the previous Arkham games and so on? And why didn't he have them in the previous ones if he has them now and stuff like that? But yeah, it's really not the best Arkham game. Personally, I would say Arkham Asylum was the best, but a lot of people say it's Arkham City. I would say it's probably a bit of a low point. Part of the reason for that is it was not made by Rocksteady, who made Arkham Asylum, Arkham City, and Arkham Knight. It was made by a different developer. WB Games Montreal are the ones who did this one. And they reused a lot of the assets from Arkham City. So they didn't really make as much for the game. So you'd think that the gameplay would be heavily polished because of that, but nope. Okay, another one I have is Never Dead. Now, the reason why I picked this one up was it seemed really interesting, but I haven't actually even tried it yet. Basically, the whole point of this is you are an immortal demon hunter. Basically, you started off 500 years ago. You became immortal because a demon cursed you with it after killing your wife or fiance or something like that. And now you're just this guy where your head pops off at a moment's notice and so on. But you still survive. Let's see, a couple more things. Another game you should definitely know I already have. Kingdom Hearts, if I can get this closer here. Kingdom Hearts HD 2.5 Remix. This is what I've been using to record Kingdom Hearts 2 because it's in HD. This also includes, beyond Kingdom Hearts 2 Final Mix, it also includes Birth by Sleep Final Mix, which I'll eventually let's play, and Kingdom Hearts Recoded. Unfortunately, it's the HD Remastered Cinematics, which I'll probably do this instead of playing through Recoded myself, just because I don't really feel like ever playing through Recoded. It's not one of the better games in the franchise. But the reason why they didn't do the full game for Recoded on this is because they would have had to pretty much redesign the game in order to get it to work properly, because it was a DS game. So you had two screens and so on. Whereas Kingdom Hearts 2 Final Mix, that just gets ported over and localized from the Final Mix added stuff gets localized from Japan, and the whole game gets ported over from the PS2. Birth by Sleep Final Mix, same thing except from PSP. So it's very easy to port those. But yeah. And then I also have Drakengard 3. I really need to get Drakengard 2. I picked this up mostly because I missed playing Drakengard. I used to have Drakengard. I think I used to have Drakengard 2 as well. But then I traded them away. Eventually picked up Drakengard 1 again. But not until after I got Drakengard 3. So one of these days I really do need to play through this one. Okay, next game is something I also picked up at a thrift shop. I actually got this one from local Goodwill, and it really shocked me that they had it. It is The Last Express. This is a classic point-and-click adventure from the same publisher that published Myst. It's from Broderbund. Not the same developer. That was actually Cyan Entertainment or something like that. Cyan something. I don't remember what they finished up calling it. But the whole point of this is you are on the... what is it, the Orient Express? I don't know. It says, it's 1914, the world is on the brink of war, and this train could push it over the edge. You are Robert Cath, an American urgently summoned by your old friend Tyler Whitney to join him aboard the Paris-Constantinople Express. So it's not the Orient Express. Arriving late, you discover something has gone terribly wrong. Now you must untangle a complex web of political intrigue, suspense, romance, and betrayal. And one of the really interesting things about this game is it used rotoscope animation for its art style. So basically they took film footage of live actors and ran it through a bunch of different filters and basically turned them into cartoons. And it's really, really interesting. This is, unfortunately, I haven't actually started this yet because I don't know if you can see it or not. This is actually still sealed. This copy is still sealed. And I've gone online and looked it up. And this copy of this game in this condition is usually worth around $30 still, which is, I think, is amazing considering it's like a 25-year-old game or something like that. So I think that is like really amazing. And so this is just going to sit on a shelf. If I ever really get the urge to play it, I'll just download the gold edition off of Steam for like $5. So anyways, that is it for my physical games. There are a couple more things to do before we move on to the digital stuff. This is stuff I got for Christmas. It's not video games per se, but it's still gaming related stuff, including the Legend of Zelda Monopoly Edition. The Legend of Zelda Edition of Monopoly. I actually almost did crack this open to play at Christmas Day, but my parents decided, let's not do that. Let's just pull out the original regular Monopoly and so on. So that's what we ended up playing. But you can actually look at the board on the back here. Everything here is inspired by Zelda, except unfortunately the four corner spots. Those are still your classic. Monopoly corner spots, with the exception of the Go spot, which says collect 200 rupee salary rather than $200. But beyond that, like you've got Elemental Sanctuary, you've got Minish Village, Spirit Train, Dorothy, and so on. Like all the regular spaces are inspired by Legend of Zelda. And your six collectible tokens are the Triforce, the Hylian Shield, the bow, the slingshot, the hookshot, and the boomerang, which I think kind of sucks. There's no Master Sword, there's no Zelda, there's no Link, there's no Ganondorf or Ganon, there's no Fairy, there's no Navi. What gives? Why? I mean, having the Triforce and the Hylian Shield makes sense. Those are iconic Legend of Zelda. And I guess, yes, the hookshot is as well, and maybe the boomerang, but if I'm going to play Legend of Zelda Monopoly, I want to play as Link. I want to have a Master Sword and so on. So why not? But yeah, that is Legend of Zelda Monopoly. And then the last physical thing I also got for Christmas is Sega Genesis Classic Game Console. This is not an official Sega Genesis. What this is a third-party licensed hardware kit that basically it runs Genesis cartridges, but it also has 80 games built in, pretty much pre-installed. Some of them are arcade games, and actually I'm just going to list them off here. I may make some comments on them, but here we go. We've got Alex Kidd, Altered Beast, Alien Storm, Aeroflash, Bonanza Brothers, Chakan, Columns 3, those are just classic puzzle games, Comic Zone, Crackdown, Decap Attack, Dr. Robotnik's Mean Bean Machine, which is kind of like Dr. Mario, but it's Sonic themed, Echo the Dolphin, and Echo Jr., which is amazing. Echo Jr. I think is actually supposed to be a lot simpler than Echo the Dolphin, but Echo the Dolphin was one of the games I had as a kid. I actually do have a physical copy of it now, and it's just really amazing. eSWAT, Fatal Labyrinth, Flicky, Gain Ground, Golden Axe 2, Golden Axe 3, Jewel Master, Kid Chameleon, Rystar, Shadow Dancer, Shinobi 3, Streets of Rage 1, 2, and 3, Sonic and Knuckles, Sonic the Spinball, Sonic the Hedgehog, Sonic the Hedgehog 2. It does not have Sonic the Hedgehog 3. And it doesn't say Sonic 3 and Knuckles. It just says Sonic and Knuckles. So that kind of sucks. That's kind of a missed opportunity there. Because that's pretty much the only Genesis Sonic game that's missing here is Sonic and Knuckles, other than, say, Sonic CD, which is for the Sega CD, not just for the Genesis. Like, you have to have the Sega CD add-on. And then there was also Sonic Spinball? No, that one I do have. Sonic 3D Blast, which was a Sega Saturn game that also had a last-gen version on the Genesis or the Sega CD or something like that. There's also the Ooze, Vectorman, Vectorman 2, Virtua Fighter 2, Mortal Kombat 1, 2, and 3. These are the Genesis versions, which of course means it has all the blood and gore that was absent from the Super Nintendo versions. Then the rest of this are just classic arcade games. You've got Air Hockey, Black Sheep, Bomber, Battle Taps Race, Brain Switch, Bulls and Cows, Cannon, Checker, Chess, Color Puzzle, Cross the Road, Curling 2010, Dominant Color, Fight or Lose, Firefly Glow, Flash Memory, Formula Challenge, Hexagonos, Jax P, Jewel Magic, Logic Dial, Mega Brain Switch, Mahjong Solitaire, Match 11, Memory, Memory Match, Mirror Mirror, Mr. Balls, Naval Power, Panic Lift, Reaction Match, Snake, which is a classic arcade game, Space Hunter, Sparkling Truffle, Spider, Sudoku Quiz, Table Magic, Treasure Hunter, Warehouse Keeper, and Whack-A-Wolf, which I assume is kind of like Whack-A-Mole, except it's got a wolf. But yeah, this is a really neat package. If you don't have a Genesis, but you would like to try it out, and you can't afford a classic Genesis and like all the games, or you can't afford something like a Retron 5 or whatever, this is good for your money. It comes with two wireless, it says wireless controllers, but they work based off of infrared technology. But it also has 2 ports on the front for classic Genesis controllers, like the actual thing. And it does take the Genesis cartridges. The only bad thing about this really is the fact that the audio video cables it comes with is your basic yellow and white. It's mono sound, not stereo, and it's your basic yellow composite video cable. So you are not going to get HD resolution on this. You are not going to get very clear picture on this. It's going to be really crappy image. You would be best playing this on an old CRT standard def monitor, or standard def TV rather than a new HD TV. But it's still a really nice package, and I think my mom said it was only like 80 bucks. I think she said it was something like that. I don't know. But I mean, it comes with 80 built-in games, so what more can you want? So that is it for my physical games. Bear with me for 1 second, and I'll be back with all my digital pickups over the last year. Okay, a couple last things before we move on to the digital stuff. I pulled them off the shelves, but I completely forgot to add them to the pile. We've got Fallout 4, which is amazing game. Not so good on the RPG aspects, but still a decent shooter and so on. And again, it's Fallout universe. Still wish it'd been made by Obsidian instead, because they did really well with New Vegas. And I think this was kind of a step back from Fallout 3. Still, I put 70 hours into that game, so it's still a really good game. Then, whoops, if I can actually not drop it all over the place, I got StarCraft 2 Legacy of the Void. This is the last of the StarCraft 2 trilogy. I have actually not spent too much time in this. I have been busy playing other games. Like I said, doing one strategy game at a time. My focus right now is playing games released in the last year, as well as stuff that has sequels and so on upcoming. So my strategy game I'm playing right now is XCOM Enemy Within. But as soon as I finish that, I'll probably move on to this. So yeah, that's it for my physical stuff now. All right, so we're going to start things off on the digital side with PS4 games. Now, I'll be honest, half these I haven't played, almost all of them. Actually, I think it is all of them I got for free through PlayStation Plus. And first among those is Apotheon, which is it's a game I haven't played yet, but from what I know, it's a very interesting kind of a 2D platformer where the art style is very much reminiscent of ancient Greek and Roman pottery. It's all kind of like kind of a tan color with dark browns and so on and so forth. Beyond that, we also have Counter Spy, again, a game I don't know too much about. Then there was also Entwine. Now, this one I'm pretty sure I actually bought. This is a kind of a twin stick shooter, kind of. It's kind of hard to describe. The premise of it is one stick controls the fish, the other stick controls the bird, and you kind of have to rotate the sticks around to get things to line up properly, and you do that enough times, they can join together to become a green dragon. Beyond that, there's also Gauntlet, which I haven't actually downloaded. Grim Fandango Remastered, which I also haven't downloaded. Journey, which is the exact same as the PS3 version. It's just on PS4. King's Quest. This is just the first chapter, and this is another one I haven't actually downloaded. But we also have Infamous First Light, which plays pretty much the same as Second Son, except instead of playing as Deslin, you play as the girl with the neon powers he gets his neon powers from. and it's kind of a prequel almost to Second Son. It tells her story of how she got to be where she was during Second Son. I also have Lara Croft in the Temple of Osiris. It's the follow-up to Lara Croft in the Guardian of Light. Now this is a twin-stick shooter. It's the Tomb Raider gameplay reimagined as a twin-stick shooter with a little bit of platforming and puzzles. That's why it's called Lara Croft and not Tomb Raider. They kind of split the franchise up into two different series in that respect. Let's see, we also have Oddworld New and Tasty, which is the remake of original Oddworld Abe's Odyssey. I haven't actually played this yet, but I just went ahead and downloaded it. What else? Let's see. There are only a couple more. The Swapper, which is another 2D platformer I don't know much about. And then Valiant Hearts The Great War, which is a very, very charming 2D game. I wouldn't necessarily call it a platformer, but it's a very charming game. It's got kind of almost a comic book style, and it's set during World War I, and it is a beautiful game. Just go play it if you haven't already. So that's it for PS4, and I'll be right back with a different system. And we're back with Xbox One games. Now, there aren't that many of these, so this is going to go rather quickly. There's D4 Dark Dreams Don't Die, which is a well, it's Kinect enabled. You can control it with Kinect, or you can control it with a controller, but it is a kind of almost a point-and-click adventure. I believe it's from Swery, which is the guy who did Deadly Premonition. Other than that, I also have Massive Chalice from Double Fine, which I don't know too much about. Then there's Wolfenstein: The Old Blood, which is kind of an expandalone. It's a standalone expansion. It's a prequel to Wolfenstein: The New Order. And I actually really enjoyed it, partially because you got to crawl around and explore Castle Wolfenstein, which is this huge place. Other than that, there's really only one other. You can see like all of the different Xbox 360 games that I have available to download on my Xbox One now. But I also have Castle Crashers Remastered, which I picked this up actually because when they launched Castle Crashers Remastered, it was free to the people who already own the original Castle Crashers. It's pretty much the exact same game. It's just it runs at 1080p, 60 frames per second, and it's on Xbox One. And I actually beat this game. I had to play with people online to do it, but I was able to beat it. So that is actually the end of my Xbox Ones, and I'll be back with PC games. And we're back with PC. Okay, start things off. I did finally download EA's Origin application or whatever, mostly because they offer a feature where you can get games for free every now and then. The first one I got was Zuma's Revenge, which is your basic PopCap puzzle game. And then I got Jade Empire Special Edition, which is what is currently the game on the house. So beyond that, there's no need to keep that open. Beyond that, we have a bunch of titles here. Let me delete something so I have my list correct. There we go. I got a bunch of titles here on Steam. First up is 9.03M, which is an incredibly short walking simulator. I think it's dedicated to the victims of the tsunami that ravaged, I think, well, somewhere in the Pacific. I don't quite remember exactly where, but it was a number of years ago. Beyond that, for some reason, a number of the thingamabobs here aren't loading. Let me see if I can get them to load correctly. I don't know. But the thingamabobs aren't working, so we'll just go to list view, make this a little bit easier. Beyond that, I got, where is it? Let's see, the Banner Saga, which is a turn-based tactical RPG that I have not played at all yet. I also got the Batman Arkham Knight. It came with my, it came with a copy of it came with my graphics card for my computer, and because of the huge problems that they've had with Arkham Knight on PC, Warner Brothers was first offering full refunds to everybody, but unfortunately you had to kind of go back to wherever you got the game in order to get the refund. And since I got it from NVIDIA through, it was a retail code for that came with my graphics card, I kind of doubted I was going to actually be able to refund it, since it was kind of a free game. So kind of as a consolation prize to those people who decided to stick with it and keep the game, they also handed out PC versions of all the other Arkham games. Arkham Asylum, Arkham City, Arkham Origins, and even Arkham Origins Blackgate. Beyond that, I also got The Beginner's Guide, which is from the same guy who designed the Stanley Parable. It's a really interesting game. It is very much a walking simulator. There's some interactivity, though, but it's mostly a walking simulator. The same with Beyond Eyes, mostly a walking simulator. This one tries to be cutesy and tries to be profound, but it just kind of falls flat. The idea is that you are playing as a little girl who's been blinded, and so you're kind of trying to navigate this world where you can't really see anything except through sound. Sound allows you to get a rough idea of what everything is, but until you actually touch it, it may not be what it actually is. There's a point where you hear water and it sounds like it might be a fountain, but then you realize it's actually a sewer pipe. Beyond that, I also got, let's see, Chips Challenge 1. This is the classic puzzle game, Chips Challenge. I absolutely adored it as a kid, so that's why I just had to get it. It was only a couple bucks. Also got, further on down here, Darkfall 1 and 2. These are classic point-and-click adventures. I have not actually played them since. Deus Ex Revision, which is a enhanced edition / remake of the original Deus Ex. It was actually a mod. Also got Dishonored, the Game of the Year edition. It's actually, I really need to play through the DLC packs for that, which is why I got it, considering Dishonored 2 comes out sometime this year. What else? Well, a little bit further down here we have Elite Dangerous, which is the MMO / space flight, space fighter sim, whatever. Think kind of like No Man's Sky. It's very similar in premise to that. And I have not actually played this yet, mostly because I am waiting for my Oculus Rift to arrive. I've got one on pre-order. And once it does, I should be able to play it. I can play it now if I wanted to, but I would much rather play it in VR, if at all possible. Let's see, what else? Well, let's see. I went kind of on a Fallout thing. I got all of the Fallout games. I already talked to you guys about Fallout 4, but I also have Fallout 2, 1, 2, and Tactics, which I previously had on a Fallout Trilogy disc. Now I have them on Steam. And I also have the Game of the Year edition of Fallout 3 on Steam, which I also have on 360. Beyond this, let's see. Well, I also got Game of Thrones, a Telltale game series. I have not actually played this yet. I'm very interested in trying it, though. And further on, where we've got more stuff that's finally popping in, the Hexen and the Heretic games. Yeah, Heretic, Shadow of the Serpent Riders, Hexen Beyond Heretic, Hexen Death Kings of the Dark Citadel, and Hexen 2. I already talked a little bit about Heretic 2, which was, I think, made after Hexen 2. But they're all part of the same franchise here, and these are actually all first-person shooters, and they are really, really interesting. Heretic is a Doom clone. Well, trying to figure out when exactly Heretic would have been done. Heretic might have actually been a little bit before Doom, but it's definitely not as old as Wolfenstein 3D. Maybe it was a little bit after Doom, but Hexen and Hexen Beyond Heretic and Hexen Death Kings of the Dark Citadel, definitely probably Doom 2 era, and then Hexen 2 would have been Quake 1 era. As I already talked about earlier, Heretic 2 is Quake 2 era. I also got the Homeworld Remastered Collection. You guys know how much I love Homeworld, and I was very much glad to get the Remastered Collection. It was one of the things I was very sad about when I was having computer troubles early last year, is that I wouldn't be able to play it when it first came out. So I eventually did pick it up here. Let's see, what else? Ooh, yes, the next ones are way down here. We have Ori and the Blind Forest, which is a 2D platformer. I haven't actually played much of it. It's also available on Xbox One. And I also got Quake 4, which again I haven't touched yet, but that'll round out the end of that franchise for me. Then I also got Real Mist the Masterpiece Edition. Now, previously I had done a Let's Play of Real Mist, just plain old Real Mist, but this is the Masterpiece Edition, so it's supposed to look a bit better. Hopefully run a bit better too, considering how bad the last one ran sometimes. And let's see. Ooh, yes, Return to Castle Wolfenstein. I also got that one. It's the third Wolfenstein game. I haven't actually played it yet. Picked up Roller Coaster Tycoon Deluxe, which I previously had on disc, but now it's on Steam, as well as Roller Coaster Tycoon 2 Triple Thrill Pack. Yes, it's finally Roller Coaster Tycoon 2 with all of its expansion packs. This is the one with real-world parks on there that are the Six Flags theme parks. Now, I could have sworn Six Flags of Ohio was one of the included parks, but apparently not. The closest similar one would have been Six Flags Greatest Adventure or something like that. But unfortunately, Six Flags of Ohio is not in one of these parks included in this, which really sucks. I always thought it was included, but I guess I was wrong. It's really a shame considering that park doesn't even exist anymore. That was Geauga Lake on one side of the lake and SeaWorld on the other. Then SeaWorld shut down, and Geauga Lake got bought up by Six Flags, and Six Flags bought the old SeaWorld park as well, and kind of joined it into one super park that was just way too big for its own good. Seriously, it was way too big for its own good. And eventually Six Flags sold it to Cedar Fairs, the guys who own Cedar Point, and they made it into Geauga Lake again, and they got rid of like all of the marine life attractions left over from the SeaWorld era, and eventually they shut down Geauga Lake, and all that's left is a small water park. Literally, that is all that's left. They sold off all of the rides, and from a business standpoint on their side, it really does make sense because they already have Cedar Point. They don't really need another amusement park that close by to take money from them. But beyond those, let's see, I also got Siberia 1 and 2. Did Let's Plays of these way back when. These were actually a couple of my first Let's Plays. And I just picked them up on Steam so I can just play them whenever. I don't have to rely on my discs anymore. I also got System Shock Enhanced Edition, which came with the Classic Edition. I have not touched that yet. Probably going to Let's Play it eventually. I'm just not entirely sure when, considering I already Let's Played System Shock 2. Let's see. Also got the Talos Principle, which is a first-person point-and-click adventure type thing. I haven't played it yet. I've been meaning to, but I haven't touched it yet. And then I also have the internet darling of the era, Undertale, which, full of charm, not really for me. I didn't particularly like it that much. It's one of those games where it's really best to play it without knowing anything about it, and unfortunately I kind of knew most of what it was. So I got to the final boss. I'm not going to talk about it too much other than to say I got to the final boss and he was too tough for me, so I eventually watched somebody else Let's Play. As a matter of fact, I actually watched Dodger's Let's Play to get the full Undertale experience. But beyond this, there's only a few more games left. I got The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt, which I have not played yet, mostly because I spent all of early last year, or all of the summer rather, playing through The Witcher and The Witcher 2, and I missed the boat on getting The Witcher 3 when it first came out, and I haven't played it yet. Again, certain types of games, I only do one of them at a time, and this counts as both an open world game and an RPG. And right now, I've already got one RPG on the books and another open world game on the books soon as well. And then I also got, the last couple ones I got were Wolfenstein 3D and Wolfenstein 3D Spear of Destiny. You guys can probably tell from my game library, I go on these classic shooter kicks every now and then. And I felt like I needed to play through the grandfather of first-person shooters. So I got Wolfenstein 3D. So that is it for my video game pickups from 2015. Hopefully we'll be able to get a bunch more this next year. I don't know. I have to buy a car at some point, so we'll see how things play out. But until then, I'll see you guys next time. Thanks for watching. Please remember to comment, rate, and subscribe.